Before I begin, I think it's important that we once again address the blue-hatted elephant in the room. What was the elephant in the room? But now, well, I was going to do this in French, but let's just do it in English. I am truly sorry for wearing a Duchess hat. No excuses, but there were two reasons for wearing it. First, our host that night, and those who haven't watched CTV News, this is important. First, our host that night was the owner of the Dodgers, and I believed it was a polite thing to do. And as Canadians, you would support that. Second, hang on. Second, the 900,000 watt floodlights shining down on an ever-increasing bald spot. And given that level of scrutiny, I think I'd even worn a Yankees hat. Okay, maybe not a Yankees hat, but you get the dilemma, right? And as for my wife, well, she lived in Toronto for years and has deep affection for this city. So much so that many people around the world still believe that she is, in fact, Canadian. So I think hopefully you can forgive her, as a native Californian, for her Dodgers loyalty, even if just for one evening. But truthfully, and jokes aside, this city will always mean a great deal to me. You provided me a wife.
Family, welcome back to the Royal Sussex Squad Podcast, the home of truth, receipts and unapologetic support for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Today we are diving into yet another story that shows exactly why Prince Harry continues to stand tall on the world stage, while the palace machinery and the UK tabloids scramble to keep up with him. And trust me, this episode is going to be a ride, because Harry's confirmed return to Canada has exposed a whole list of insecurities from the same institutions that tried to control him for years. Let's start with the basics. Prince Harry has been officially announced as the keynote speaker, the headliner, at the OREA Power House Conference in Toronto. Not a side guest, not a token royal presence, not a ceremonial attendee standing in the corner with a ribbon and a forced smile. A headliner, the major draw, the person everyone is paying to come here. And for a man the British press loves to portray as irrelevant or fading, it is stunning how he keeps being invited to stand front and centre at international conferences while the rest of the Windsors are stuck cutting cakes and unveiling plaques. And you know what's even more hilarious? OREA described him exactly as he deserves to be described. Humanitarian, mental health advocate, environmentalist, military combat veteran. Every single accomplishment earned, none inherited. None handed to him because of a title. None inflated by tabloids desperate to make someone look competent. Harry's resume stands on its own, and the conference organisers didn't need to add any fluff. They didn't need to roll out fake PR buzzwords. They spoke plainly and truthfully. Harry is someone with lived experience, global influence, and a message worth hearing. And what will he be speaking about? Leadership, service, resilience, healing. Things he actually understands because he's lived through trauma, sacrifice and public scrutiny, and has emerged not bitter, but wiser. Meanwhile, certain palaces are still scrambling to figure out how to make planting trees look exciting. The Buzz conference page even emphasised that Harry won't be talking about real estate, because he is not there to pretend expertise. He is there to deliver a powerful message that only he can deliver. That level of integrity alone sets him apart from so many figures who speak publicly but have nothing meaningful to say. And once again, tickets are flying. Because every time Harry stands on a stage, people know they're going to hear something real, transparent, grounded, and driven by purpose. But of course, this upcoming trip arrives just weeks after his previous visit to Toronto, the one that the UK tabloids and palace aides tried desperately to turn into a conflict with Prince William. Because, let's be real, anytime Harry breathes, the tabloids panic, and anytime Harry succeeds, somebody in the palace breaks into a cold sweat. During Remembrancetide in early November, Harry went to Canada to honour veterans, connect with the armed forces community, and meet military charities. It was a meaningful, powerful, respectful trip that had been planned months in advance. But because it happened to overlap with William's Earthshot ceremony in Brazil, the British media, who were already struggling to generate excitement around Earthshot, decided to manufacture a storyline. Harry upstages William. Harry blindsides the palace. Harry causes a royal rift. Except none of that was true. Harry's team had already informed both Buckingham Palace and Kensington Palace about the trip. They were not blindsided. There was no surprise. There was no ambush. But palace aides, desperate to protect William from ever being overshadowed, even accidentally, ran to their favourite tabloid buddies and cried victim. They spun the story into a fake conflict because they needed attention. They needed drama. They needed anything to make Earthshot trend beyond the usual crowd of royal reporters retweeting each other. It's embarrassing, honestly, because Harry didn't do anything except live his life and honour veterans. And yet the palace still acted like he staged a coup. Imagine being so insecure that a man visiting a hospital in Toronto sends shockwaves through your entire PR team. But that's the problem. Harry's presence anywhere, makes more global noise than half of the working royals combined. And everyone knows it. The press knows it. The palace knows it. The public knows it. And that's why they react with panic instead of confidence. Meanwhile, let's talk about why Canada matters. Toronto is not just another city for Harry. It's where Invictus came to life for so many veterans in 2017. It's where he and Meghan nurtured the early stages of their relationship before the British press unleashed the full force of their harassment. Toronto is a place where he is welcomed warmly, appreciated, respected and embraced. It makes sense that he continues to return there, because he actually builds relationships, not photo opportunities. During his last visit, Harry met with soldiers from the Queen's Own Rifles of Canada. Yes, the same regiment where Camilla is Colonel-in-Chief, and the Royal Regiment of Canada associated with King Charles. And guess what? Nobody there cared about drama. They cared about service, sacrifice and community. Harry spoke to veterans with empathy, visited them at Sunnybrook Hospital, and later published an essay honouring the fallen. That's real leadership. That's real heart. Now, imagine being a tabloid reporter, trying to frame this deeply human visit as a snub to William. It's laughable, and it exposes how broken the British media's priorities are. They can't stand that Harry's work is substantive, meaningful and globally appreciated, not random, shallow or ceremonial. And let's talk about the palace's silent panic, because if you know how the royal machine operates, you know that silence is never just silence. It's strategic. They didn't respond to requests for comment about the calendar clash, because they had been caught. They had been informed in advance. They couldn't claim ignorance, but they also couldn't acknowledge that Harry is out there thriving without them. So they said nothing. Because what can they say? Yes, Harry is functioning beautifully away from royal control, and it makes us look incompetent. They could never. And that brings us to the simple truth that the world is seeing clearer than ever. Harry is a leader, William is a figurehead. Harry is an advocate. William is a PR project. Harry is effective internationally. William is struggling to be interesting even locally, and it eats them alive that a man they pushed out is now more relevant than the entire institution combined. Meanwhile, Meghan continues to influence quietly and powerfully without even needing to be physically present. That's how you know her impact is real. Harry's approach to communication, compassion, diplomacy, and human-centered leadership reflects her influence. Their partnership is balanced, healthy, mature, and aligned. Something the royal family had never seen before and will likely never replicate. And that's why the UK media is furious. Not annoyed, furious. Because Harry and Meghan are proving that when you walk away from toxicity, you can build something extraordinary. That you don't need a palace to have power. That you don't need a crown to make impact. That freedom, authenticity, and moral clarity will always shine brighter than manufactured pomp and forced tradition. The Sussexes are thriving, and every success they achieve, whether it's a keynote speech, a charitable initiative, a podcast, a business deal, or even a simple public appearance, sends certain institutions spiraling into confusion and envy. They want Harry and Meghan small, but the world keeps elevating them, and that is why this story matters. Prince Harry returning to Canada isn't just another trip. It is another reminder of who he is. A man who stepped away from royal confines and built a real, meaningful, independent identity on the world stage. And the people who underestimated him are now watching him rise higher than ever. So family, if you're enjoying this deep dive into the truth behind the headlines, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you never miss an episode. And if you want to support the channel and help us keep amplifying these stories that the mainstream media refuses to tell, feel free to drop a super thanks. It makes a huge difference and keeps this platform thriving. This is the Royal Sussex Squad Podcast, signing out with love and truth. Stay informed, stay unbothered, stay pro-Sussex, and as always, keep shining your light, just like Harry and Meghan do every single day.